Hello BookTube friends, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica. The topic of today's video is a review of this book, Vanish by Tess Gerritsen, in 10 minutes or less.
Welcome to the Lovestead.
So, welcome back to my humble abode. Fun fact, if you live in Iowa, January is actually the sunniest month of the year based on how the Earth rotates on its axis and other science things I'm not really qualified to talk about. But thus you get this lovely brightness happening, and it's late afternoon here. It's not noon, it's not morning, it's late afternoon, and we're like baking in this beautiful sunlight. So anyway, the topic of today's video, as I said, is a book review of Vanish by Tess Gerritsen. So this book, I didn't write down the stats. This book was published. This book was published by Ballantine Books in 2005. It is that's a preview from another book. It is 409 pages in length, and I bought this book from the Book Nook at my local library. It is the mass market paperback version. The reason I read this is because I've decided to commit to 3 book series and read them all the way through. I had a habit of starting a series and putting it down and then wanting to read it and having to reread the first book, and that just got to be a big mess. So when I started my BookTube channel in September of 2020, I decided to commit to 3 book series and read them all the way through. So this is the 5th book in the Rizzoli and Isles series. This is the book series that the television show is based on, and it's a series of mystery thrillers. And let me read you the book blurb of this particular installment. So, a nameless woman appears to be just another body at the morgue until Boston medical examiner Maura Isles sees the corpse open its eyes. The now frantic Jane Doe is rushed to the hospital where, with cool precision, she shoots a security guard and seizes hostages, one of whom is pregnant homicide detective Jane Rizzoli. As the tense hours tick by, Maura joins forces with Jane's husband, FBI agent Gabriel Dean, to track down the killer's identity. But this case goes far deeper than just an ordinary hostage crisis, and Jane, trapped with the armed madwoman, is the only one who holds the key to the mystery. What that book blurb doesn't tell you is that this book is about human trafficking. The woman, and this is not, maybe that's a spoiler, so I'm going to skip that, but there are a set of characters in here that are human trafficking victims, and it really explicitly illustrates what these victims go through. So it is an intense book. It's fast-paced because there's so much action happening, and there are dual storylines that are interconnected and interwoven really well. So Tess Gerritsen, she's just such a masterful writer. She does such an amazing job with these mystery thrillers. And I think I said this in the last review I did of one of her books, but with her having a medical degree, that just shines through in the accuracy of her storytelling. She paints this really intense picture of how victims are affected by human trafficking and the ripple effect that that trauma has, not only on the victim themselves, but on the entire community that they're a part of. It also comments on how powerful people do terrible things when they have access to terrible things that they can do. So, the people that are engaged in this human trafficking ring are really powerful people, and that is what happens with human trafficking. Like, really powerful people traffic humans for profit. And I did look up some human trafficking statistics to share with you. So this was on heatwatch.org, which is a California-based organization aiming to fight human trafficking. California has the highest rates of human trafficking in the United States. Now, I am in Iowa, and Iowa is not immune to this. We have a couple of hotbeds of human trafficking because of the way the highways from Chicago, Minneapolis, Kansas City, all run through Iowa. So we have issues with human trafficking here in Iowa. And this was something that when I taught courses on a campus, I really work with my students a lot on educating them about these issues, because a lot of my students were future law enforcement officers. And so we did a lot of work with human trafficking. We hosted these events at the public library where we'd bring in like the attorney general, who would talk about human trafficking and educate the public, and people from various nonprofit organizations that would come in. So this is a topic that I've done some extensive work on within my own community. And yeah, everybody thinks that, oh, it's Iowa, it's just farm country, not a lot happens there. Y'all, Iowa has a lot of dark undercurrents. Like there's some stuff that happens in Iowa, and one of the things that happens is human trafficking, like I said, because of those major highways. But the statistics that I pulled from heatwatch.org, so there's an estimated 40.3 million people in modern slavery today, and that includes sex trafficking and forced labor. 99% of victims in the commercial sex industry are women and girls. A lot of them are underage girls. 1 in 4 victims of human trafficking are children. That's terrifying. So I am going to include some links to organizations in my description box that you can donate to or get involved with if you would like to help stop human trafficking. There are a lot of really wonderful organizations doing good work around this, but if you have time, maybe take a moment and do a little research into what your community is doing in particular, what your local law enforcement agencies are doing. There are some hotlines that you can utilize, and it's important to educate yourself on what kind of red flags to look for. So like if you see people traveling and stopping at a rest stop and something looks off, learn about what those red flags would be that could lead you to calling into a tip line, potentially stopping a human trafficking ring. There are some good organizations here in the Midwest focusing on rehabilitating victims of human trafficking. So there is the Dragonfly Home, which is in Oklahoma. Here in my community, we have Friends of the Family, which helps rehabilitate victims of human trafficking. So don't turn a blind eye to this. I mean, a lot of you I know are very aware of this, but you will be shocked at how frequently this is probably happening in your own city. I got a little bit off topic from the book here because I just felt like that was a really important point to address, since the book basically covers that. Like the book blurb talks about the hostage situation as a way to draw readers in, but the true backbone of this story is an illustration of human trafficking. So it's an important read. It's a really good read. It's kind of an intense read. So in terms of content warnings, I do have content warnings for rape on page, sexual assault, trafficking, kidnapping, murder of children, hostage situations, childbirth, violence against women, and terrorism. So like I said, kind of an intense read. Go in to it knowing that those are some content warnings. There's probably even more in there that I'm not aware of, because those are just the ones that I immediately picked up on. So do a little bit of research, see what else people are saying about it if you are sensitive to those kinds of triggers. I did give this book a rating of a 4 out of 5 stars, because even though this is like genre literature and it's not considered like high literary blah blah blah, it's still really powerful. And I think that there's this prejudice against genre lit, you know, like fantasy and murder mysteries, etc. There's this prejudice or this idea that genre lit can't still be hard-hitting and impactful. And in fact, they very much can be, and this is an excellent example of that. That's it for today's video. So until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying my videos and want to get to know me and interact with me. I love interacting with all of you and meeting new friends and having great conversations. We'll see you next time. Bye.